So, a casting rumour for Spider-Man 4 has been making the rounds, and if it's true, we might be in for a woke disaster. But before we get into it, if you want to help out the channel, you could support my Patreon, and it would be greatly appreciated. So, Spider-Man 4 in my eyes was already dead on arrival. Tom Holland has never played Spider-Man correctly, not in one film, all of which, might I add, are terrible. And on top of the fact that Tom Holland just plain sucks, you have this story here, where Sadie Sink joins Tom Holland in next Spider-Man movie. The thing is, she's not playing MJ, you know, the character who she actually looks like? Peter Parker's wife, Mary Jane Watson, the redhead, not Zendaya, some ugly black chick who looks like a teenage boy from the slums. So they're just rubbing their noses in it, the fact that this actress actually looks like Mary Jane Watson, but is not being given the role. So I'm already out after that, but this news story just gets worse. So you come over here to this article, Spider-Man 4 villain, non-binary, trans, and uses pronouns. So what the rumor actually says is that the villain of Spider-Man 4 will be the Chameleon, or some sort of take on the Chameleon, as the character just appeared in Craven, which I didn't really watch, but I've heard it was absolute dog crap. So apparently the Spider-Man 4 villain won't be called specifically Chameleon, but will go by another name because the character is using pronouns. So let me just dive into everything that's wrong about that, for retards out there who just try to talk about movies and argue, but don't actually read the comics. Some normies might be watching going, who the hell is the Chameleon? Well, the Chameleon is Spider-Man's first ever villain. Yeah, that's right. It's not the Vulture or Sandman or Dr. Octopus. It was the Chameleon. Obviously, the legendary character of Spider-Man and the masterpiece run by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko started in Amazing Fantasy number 15. But in the Amazing Spider-Man issue 1, we got the introduction of the Chameleon. And just like every story in the Lee and Ditko run, everybody should be reading this comic if you call yourself a comic book fan. But basically, here's the funny part that debunks the whole argument of superheroes have always been woke. So Spider-Man's first ever issue, the villain, the Chameleon, he's not just some guy who puts on a disguise and dresses up as other people. The guy is a communist. Plot twist of the story is the fact that there's been a communist submarine spying on the United States in the waters of New York City. And Spider-Man, like every great hero, tracks down this scumbag, hits him with a right hook, and calls him a commie. So take your whole argument of superheroes have always been woke and left-leaning and shove it up your ass. Spider-Man just punched a communist in the face. I could do a whole video on how much I love that original Lee and Ditko run. I believe that there should be a new movie or TV show made in the style of that comic, almost like a period piece back in the 60s. You could even put it into black and white or something, making it like an old school horror movie where Spider-Man is this fantastical monster that is feared by the public. But that could be an entire different video about how good this run actually is. But for now, let's stick with the fact that a big studio is willing to have the balls to come in and change Spider-Man's first villain to be some non-binary freak. Now, it could be worse. Spider-Man himself could be non-binary. But why are we even doing this? What's the point of it in the movie? Instead of being an evil communist that Spider-Man has to take down, the villain now uses pronouns, and we're probably gonna have to sympathize with the villain some point in the movie. To be honest with you, I don't think that this movie could sound any worse. We have a perfectly good actress who could play MJ, yet she's not. And then we also have a villain who's non-binary and using pronouns. This reminds me of X-Men 97, where they changed Morph, a character who appeared like for just a couple of episodes in the original Masterpiece cartoon. They made the character non-binary for absolutely no reason. And you want to know why? Because X-Men 97 was created by a literal gay black dude who just wanted to put his politics into the story. He wanted Wolverine and Morph to have a kind of weird relationship, and he wanted characters to be non-binary. You are a freak. You don't belong anywhere near X-Men. And whoever's making this decision about the Chameleon does not belong anywhere near Spider-Man. Call me a gatekeeping, elitist, basement dweller all you want, but I think that the fans should stand up and say no to whatever the hell they're trying here. This could just be a rumor, because actually do the math and think about it. Why would Marvel Studios, owned by some pretty shady characters who like to inject stuff into their stories, why would they put a trans, non-binary, pronoun-using freak as the villain? So this could just be a rumor that doesn't turn out to be true, which I'm hoping for, but who knows, they might still try it. People love tying it back all the time to one thing that Stan Lee wrote in the 70s about about equality and how he didn't think about the color of people's skin. Now obviously Stan was living in this utopian world where he wanted everybody to be equal, and in real life it doesn't really work out that way, because you can love everybody and not care about the color of their skin, but they do care about the color of yours. But people who argue for woke crap like this love using that and saying that Stan Lee was always woke and superheroes were always big monoliths of liberalism. In reality, I think that Stan Lee and every other great comic creator like Steve Ditko or Jack Kirby would be turning in their graves if they saw what was happening to the characters that they once created. Stan Lee and Steve Ditko back on issue 1. Hey, Spider-Man's first villain, he's just going to be an evil communist that the kid has to take down. Imagine if they saw what was happening right now, where that villain is being transformed into a vehicle for political allegory. Movies and comic books are both entertainment businesses. You can put in a message and you can put in politics every once in a while if it fits into the story, but first of all, the first priority is entertainment. And I don't know about you, but seeing freaky non-binary people, cocked, weak Tom Holland, and ugly Zendaya is not entertainment. And really, I'm not complaining about nothing here. Every week there's a new race swap or gender swap or new piece of crap that I can talk about. It's not like I'm reaching super far to find this crap. All you have to do is look around and it's everywhere. And therein lies the deeper problem, which I can't really get into, but it's why is this everywhere? Why is this in every movie or comic or book? And more importantly, who is putting it there? But obviously that's a conversation that most people can't really handle. Most likely will never be able to. So that's why we have to keep on attacking these pieces of crap and rejecting it. Because every normie out there who goes to watch a Marvel movie isn't going to know about the deep politics and a sinister motive behind this. But they're going to know that they don't want to see some non-binary person in their Spider-Man movie. Screw people who like and defend everything like this. Bring back the age where heroes were right and morally good, and the bad guys were truly evil and did bad things. Not this blurred grey morality crap that we're facing now. Where what is this new movie going to be? It's going to be Spider-Man, the hero, fighting a non-binary person who is also kind of the hero. Where in the original comic, it was a communist who wanted to take over America and spy on its citizens. The funny part is, they can't actually put that in the movie because that's what they're doing to you. I know, I might sound like a nut job, but why would they put in a villain into the movie of a communist who wants to put Marxist ideas into people's heads? Because that's what they're doing in real life. And as long as just a few people notice that and reject it, then there might truly be hope going forward in the future. So this was a little bit of a rant, but if you did agree with anything I said, do let me know and maybe consider subscribing. And if you got a frelling problem, go complain to your boyfriend.